we need to talk about success. Specifically, we need to talk about how we've been telling ourselves the wrong story about it. What if our obsession with those huge, dramatic breakthroughs is actually the very thing that's holding us back? Let's dive in. All right, first things first, let's tackle the myth head on. You know the story I'm talking about. We've all seen it in movies, read it in books, the story with the training montage, the big discovery, the overnight sensation. But what if that whole narrative, the one we all know by heart, is just wrong? I want you to do something for me. Take a second and actually picture success. What pops into your head? Is it that scientist having a eureka moment? The tech genius who becomes a billionaire overnight? Maybe the musician who gets discovered playing in some dive bar? Yeah, those images are powerful for sure, but they're also incredibly misleading.
And this is really where the fantasy collides with the facts. The myth tells us to wait for that lightning strike moment, that one big break, that shot at overnight fame. It's all about one huge, life-changing event. But the reality? It couldn't be more different. It's built on boring stuff, daily habits, tiny little steps, and progress so slow that most days you don't even notice it's happening.
Okay, so if the Hollywood story is a total myth, what's the alternative? Well, it might not make for a blockbuster movie, but I promise you it's a whole lot more effective. Let's get into this kind of counterintuitive path to getting things done. Let's just be super clear about this. The stories about grand, heroic moments, they're not just a little off, they're actually unhelpful. They make success feel like winning the lottery, right? Like it's something that just happens to you, instead of something you actually built, one boring little piece at a time. This phrase right here, this gets to the absolute core of it. What if, instead of chasing some epic, spectacular narrative, the real goal was to achieve something amazing through a process that was, well, kind of boring? A story where the main character just shows up and does the work every single day. No fanfare, because that's where the real magic happens. So let's give this a proper name, the mundane trajectory. It's the path to success that's defined by its relentless, flat, consistent effort, not by dramatic ups and downs. You know, comedian Jerry Seinfeld had this amazing system when he was starting out. His goal was to rate one new joke every single day. And every day he did it, he'd put a big red X on a giant calendar. After a few days, you have a chain. And his only job after that was simple. Don't break the chain. Not glamorous, not exciting, but totally unstoppable. So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, first, it's about picking consistency over intensity. Think about it. It's so much better to go for a 15-minute jog every day than to try and run a marathon once a year and completely burn out. Second, you have to focus on the process, not the outcome. Your job isn't to become a famous novelist. Your job is just to write the next sentence. And finally, it's all about those small, repeatable actions that you can do almost on autopilot. Now, I get it. This might all sound a little less exciting, but believe me, the results are anything but. The mundane approach isn't just another option. In the long run, it's way, way better. So let's talk about why boring is actually the secret weapon. Just look at that number. Seriously, this is the unbelievable power of compounding. If you get just 1% better at something every single day, after a year, you're not 365% better. You're nearly 38 times better. That's the explosive power of tiny, consistent gains. A 1% improvement feels like nothing. A 37-fold improvement is absolutely life-changing.
This visual says it all, doesn't it? That exciting burst, that's your New Year's resolution. You go all in, you see a quick jump, and then you flatline. But look at consistent effort. At first, it looks pathetic. It feels pointless, like nothing's happening. And then, compounding kicks in, and that curve just takes off like a rocket, leaving that initial burst in the dust. And the benefits are huge. For one, you don't burn out because you're running at a pace you can actually maintain. You also build this deep, real mastery because you're putting in the reps day after day. But the biggest one, you create this unstoppable momentum. It's like a flywheel. Each day you do your small task, you make it just a little bit easier to do it again the next day, until it feels more weird not to do it.
Okay, so we get the theory. It makes sense. But how do you actually apply this? How do we start writing our own wonderfully boring story of success? It's actually a lot simpler than you might think. Here's the playbook. Step 1. Define one tiny, almost ridiculously small action you can do every day. Not write a chapter, but write one good paragraph. Step 2. Your only mission for the day is to do that one thing. That's it. That's the win. Step 3, and this one is crucial. You have to forget about the long-term goal. Obsessing over the finish line will just paralyze you. Just focus on today's action. And finally, step 4, don't break the chain. Just show up tomorrow and add another link. So I'll leave you with this question. Just for a moment, forget about the grand vision. Forget the lightning strike. What is the smallest, most boring, most repeatable thing you could do today that if you just did it every single day would completely change everything? Find that, and you've just found the beginning of your own very successful